Hello, good evening, and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA. This show is streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are streaming live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are streaming live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port, Ghana. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired in the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. As usual, we'll be getting interactive with you, and all you have to do is send us your comments and messages via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559-019-177, 0559-019-177. At the appropriate time, when I pick signals from our production team that the time is ripe, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We're going for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, streetlights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
Mps Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry during the week. And during the week, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority happened to have joined the Burkina Faso Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the plush Kempiski Hotel, where, they interacted and had some discussions, and also to show love and a form of camaraderie in terms of doing business between the two countries. And the GPHA took the opportunity to kind of like award the transit shippers who have been doing the business with the ports for the past 2 decades or so or more. And other activities also took place at that particular event. We'll bring you that story pretty shortly. We also want to highlight the fact that JAPTU, which is the Joint Transport Unions at the ports, also entered into an agreement with Road Safety Management Services Limited, and their quest is to tow vehicles that get spoiled on the roads so that we can have seamless transport flow on our roads in terms of doing business. And then we also have the Tema Shipyard, which is demonstrating its readiness to do business and to service our sub-region and beyond in terms of ship repairs and others. Let's take a look at these stories and more.
The Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Michael Logoje, has reassured the business community of Burkina Faso of the authority's unwavering commitment to continue to make Ghana's ports and corridors the preferred option for transit trade. The GPHA boss made the authority's intentions known when a delegation from the Burkina Faso Chamber of Commerce, led by its president, Mahamadi Savodogo, paid a working visit to the Port Authority to explore ways to enhance the business relationship the two parties share in the transit trade. The delegation made a few concerns known, such as port tariffs, the payment of VAT on transit goods charged by the GRA, and the harmonization of shipping line charges, among others. The DG of GPHA explained how the Port Authority is working closely with the government of Ghana to arrive at mutually beneficial solutions.
Government really is unable, for now,
pour le moment, l'État, le gouvernement
to regulate shipping lines
n'arrive pas à régler les différentes questions des compagnies maritimes.
So we do it more at engagement and trade related levels.
Faisons ça avec des échanges commerciaux.
But it is a matter of concern.
C'est une inquiétude.
And the Port Authority and
l'autorité portière ghanéenne,
the Ghana Shippers Authority,
le conseiller chargé du Ghanéen,
and our Ministry of Transport,
et notre ministère du Transport,
we've been discussing this matter.
Nous avons échangé sur cette question.
To see what arrangement can be in place.
Quels sont les différents sujets ou des projets que nous pouvons mettre en place
to regulate the shipping lines and their charges.
He called for increased collaboration between his outfit and the economic operators of Burkina Faso in research and information sharing towards the improvement of services for the transit business.
Anytime it came to these matters of cost, where we have the same shipping lines in Ghana, the same in Togo and Côte d'Ivoire. We always want to compare what happens in Ghana and what happens in Ghana. But sometimes the comparison is not easy. And you need to do that when you have all the information and facts. That you have all the facts and information. And to get that information, we talk with our colleague port authorities. But we also have to rely a lot. We rely on the shippers. We have to depend on the shippers. Because we have shippers that are doing Ghana, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire. They can give you facts to confirm what happens in Ghana, what happens in Togo, what happens in
Earlier, members of the Burkina Faso Chamber of Commerce and Industry had held a partners' dinner as part of its 5-day economic and trade promotion event in Accra. The just-ended 5-day trade fair sought to promote economic, commercial, and cultural potentials, as well as strengthen cooperation between Burkina Faso and Ghana. The partners' dinner was to celebrate and magnify the historic relationship between the Burkina Faso Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Ghana and its partners. There, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority seized the opportunity to award some of its transit trade partners for their loyalty to Ghana's ports. The president of Regional Consular Delegation of Obasan of the BFCCI, Al-Hassan Seinu, said the Burkina Faso private sector, through the Chamber of Commerce, has an ambitious program for the next 5 years, which includes the implementation of major projects to support the socio-economic development of their country.
Votre présence est le témoignage de l'excellence des partenariats établis depuis des décennies.
The dynamic is to be able to strengthen our business links. Therefore, we plan to pursue exchanges with you in order to establish a win-win partnership between your respective countries and Burkina Faso. In this context of current international crisis marked by insecurity, health and economic problems, only solidarity and dynamic partnership can enable us to strengthen our resilience and consolidate the foundation of economic prosperity within the framework of the African Free Trade Area.
On his part, the Director General of GPHA, Michael Lugoje, reiterated GPHA's objective for the transit trade.
I want to use this opportunity to just assure Burkina Faso business community and shippers, together with our partners, Ghana Shippers Authority,
ensemble avec notre partenaire du Conseil ghanéen des chargeurs,
and all the other public and private enterprises that are working in Ghana to facilitate Burkina Faso transit trade through our ports.
The Joint Association of Port Transport Unions, JAPTU Ghana, has entered into an agreement with Road Safety Management Services Limited to roll out the mandatory track towing program. Stakeholders within the maritime trade and road transport sectors assembled at a signing ceremony in Tema on Thursday, September 29, 2022, to mark the commencement of the program. The program will see all truck owners benefit from track towing and salvage services nationwide at an annual premium of 450 cedis. This agreement is expected to solve some of Ghana's road safety challenges. One of such is the abandonment of trucks in the middle of highways and shoulders of roads, leading to the risk of motor accidents and road congestions. The agreement will also relieve truck owners from the tedious process of securing an efficient, competent truck towing service provider and its associated costs. For the maritime trade, efficient and competent towing services will mean shortened turnaround time for the delivery of cargo on land.
What is even very exciting about this agreement is the fact that the Road Safety Management Services has to react to our requests within prescribed times. For example, if you are in the regional capital or a district capital, once you make a call to the call center, which is toll-free, within an hour, they have to come and tow you to safety. And safety means anywhere that is suitable enough for you to do the repair. And if it is salvaging in the event of an accident, safety means towing the car to a place where it can be safely impounded, and the cargo, if there's any cargo, is also safely secured.
We have put a contingency plan, an operational plan, very efficient one, locating accident-prone areas where vehicles often break down, and other operational and strategic areas to be able to meet our demand in terms of coming in less than an hour's time, and where it is far, beating it to less than 2 hours to tow your vehicle to an impound.
The safety of all is paramount. For this reason, we are thankful and really appreciative that JAPTU has taken the initiative to join with these other stakeholders, the towing services and the police, to come up with such a positive initiative that will give peace of mind to the drivers, peace of mind to the truck owners, and peace of mind to the road users, so that business can go on.
The Tema Shipyard has recently proven it remains committed to delivering efficient, world-class ship repair and maintenance services at its facility. This commitment was demonstrated when the shipyard was able to turn around Ship Didi, an oil chemical tanker, 3 days ahead of its 10-day target, enabling a timely return to sea of the vessel. The tanker, sailing under the flag of Nigeria, with a length of 176 meters and carrying capacity of 40,219 deadweight tonnage, called the Tema Shipyard for general dry dock services such as welding works, sandblasting and painting, the overhaul of the main suction and overboard valves, among others.
I want to assure our customers that Tema Shipyard is still committed to quality. Even though the yard has been in existence for years and our equipment seems to be a bit outmoded, but the customers themselves can attest to the fact that we give out quality work.
The Tema Shipyard is certified. We are simply trying to say that when you bring in your vessel here to the Tema Shipyard, you are sure to receive services that are internationally accepted. So our business processes and then our work instructions and other documentations that sum up to the ISO is simply structured in a way that your vessel would be well attended to and then across international standards.
I again entreat all our customers and our clients to come to Shipyard, because as we have moved from the previous standard that we used to, now we are in ISO, so things have changed here. All the safety precautions and the measures that we need to put in place to make sure your vessels are worked on and then you go back free and safely.
Chief Engineer Samuel Kwesi Mwakon, Technical Superintendent of another vessel, MV Manye, that called the dry dock, praised the services at the Tema Shipyard and called for further investment to help the shipyard reach its full potential.
I'm expecting the dock to do a very good job for us. So far, what they've been doing is quite encouraging. Their men are abreast with time, and they are working according to the timeline we have given to them.
The Ghana Exports Promotion Authority, in collaboration with the African Coconut Group, has held the second edition of the International Coconut Festival in Accra. The 2022 edition of the International Coconut Festival, themed Repositioning Ghana's Coconut Sector for Accelerated Industrialization, was aimed at exploring ways of expediting growth of the sector by adding value to the raw materials produced from coconut. The 3-day event, which brought together farmers, exporters, exhibitors, students, public officials, and traditional authorities, among others, is aimed at encouraging more Ghanaians to venture into the coconut sector to boost production and exports. Coconut from Ghana is in high demand globally, and thus GEPA has initiated a number of initiatives that are expected to improve upon the country's position as the world's 9th leading producer. GEPA has since 2017 provided a total of 600,000 disease-tolerant seedlings to coconut farmers to help boost the industry. Speaking at the sidelines of the closing ceremony, Deputy Chief Executive Officer at GEPA, Samuel Dintu, said Ghana intends to increase its market share in terms of coconut production globally.
We have some seedlings that has been cultivated today or even 2 years ago, and that are nearing yielding or nearing bearing fruits. So in the next year, you'll see a lot of productivity coming online, and we want to inch closer to being number one or being part of the first 5 production countries, and also the processing, which is the most important thing for us as a government. One of the vision or one of the agenda of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is that we turn our economy into an industrialized one. So this actually is fitting into that agenda.
Chairman of the African Coconut Group, David Cowboy, urged government to reclaim Galamsey lands for coconut production.
Coconut is the best bet to reclaim the Galamsey land, in the sense that if you look at coconut and oil palm, that is the only way to go to be able to reclaim the Galamsey lands. And that's why we are saying that government should be able to use coconut to do that and give the farmers, when I talk about the farmers, give the industry players the chance to be able to do that. If government in this way can collaborate with the chiefs to reclaim the lands while they give it to the farmers, government support with seedlings, the tech extension services, research and other things for us to be able to plant to reclaim the lands.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. It's now time for us to zoom into our discussion proper tonight. And tonight we are taking a look at the role of emerging technologies to support a green transition of the maritime sector. And 29th of September, that was just last month, a few days ago, Ghana joined the rest of the world to celebrate International Maritime Day. Now, International Maritime Day is used to focus attention on the works of the International Maritime Organization, IMO, and its regional or national affiliates. In Ghana, the Ghana Maritime Authority is the national affiliate of the International Maritime Organization, IMO, and I dare say that Ghana has been a very active member of the IMO for some time now, and it keeps blazing the trail. I dare mention Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia, who at a point was the chairman of the legal committee of the International Maritime Organization for 2 consecutive terms, the first black man to have achieved that feat, and he still remains the first black man to have chaired that particular committee. And the legal committee of the IMO is one of the most sensitive and very, very important, committees of the International Maritime Organization. So that tells you how far we've come in our quest to, actively participate in activities of the International Maritime Organization, IMO. Now, the theme for this year's celebration is what we're discussing today, the role of emerging technologies, to support a green transition. We'll bring you the details as we move along, but statistics or research also indicates that commercial shipping accounts for about 2.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and this is expected to catapult or to escalate to between 50 and 250% by the year 2050, which makes it very important for nations to take steps to quell this particular trend. And so tonight, that's what we're looking at. It gives me pleasure to introduce to us Dr. Captain Nana Ofosu-Boateng, Senior Lecturer, Head of National and Head of the Nautical Studies Department at the Regional Maritime University. Doc, Captain, welcome. And I also have the pleasure of introducing to us in the studios Captain Samuel Ofori-Dankwa, who is a Senior Marine Officer at the Ghana Maritime Authority. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Commander Commander Christopher Armour of the Ghana Navy will also be joining us via Zoom to discuss this particular subject. He is a marine engineer. We'll come to our guests in the studios pretty shortly, but before then, let's go and take a message from the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Mr. Thomas Kofi Alonsi, as he joined the rest of the world to give a solidarity message on the occasion of the International Maritime Day.
The International Maritime Organization is the United Nations specialized agency with responsibility for the safety and security of shipping and the prevention of marine and atmospheric pollution by ships. Ghana, our beloved country, is a member of the IMO, and the Ghana Maritime Authority is the agency that represents Ghana at the International Maritime Organization. Today, in many countries all over the world, we are celebrating the World Maritime Day. The day coincides with the establishment of the International Maritime Organization in 1958 and provides an opportunity to focus attention on the importance of shipping and other maritime activities. The World Maritime Day also provides a forum to highlight the significant contribution of the International Maritime Organization and its member states to global efforts in improving the safety, security, and efficiency of shipping and the protection of the marine and atmospheric environment. As a responsible industry concerned with sustainable economic growth and progress, and considering the fact that our planet is imperiled, it has become necessary to note that the rapid increase in international shipping with its attendant daily consumption of millions of barrels of fuel oils also brings about a significant increase in the emission of noxious gases into the atmosphere. It is for this reason that this year's celebration has been dedicated to focusing attention on the need to transition into a greener and more sustainable shipping regime under the theme, New Technologies for Greener Shipping. Whilst taking this opportunity to express my gratitude to all stakeholders in the maritime industry who have, in their various ways, contributed positively to sustain our activities, I also wish to encourage key stakeholders in the industry to help in developing and implementing strategies to build our understanding and knowledge of technologies and operational measures that will lead to a sustainable shipping industry. On this note, on behalf of the International Maritime Organization, the Ghana Maritime Authority, and on my own behalf, I wish you a happy World Maritime Day. And may the Almighty God continue to bless our industry and our homeland Ghana and make them great and strong.
That was the message from the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Mr. Thomas Kofi Alonsi. We are now coming into the studios to begin the discussions. Okay, I understand Captain Christopher Ama, who is with the Ghana Navy, is right on line on Zoom, and he'll be joining us pretty shortly. Let me acknowledge his presence. Hello, Doc, Commander. Good evening.
Yes, please. It's Lieutenant Commander Ama. Good evening.
Commander Ama. Lieutenant Commander.
Lieutenant Commander Ama.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
then we have to correct that. I've been calling you Commander, so I don't put you in trouble. All right. So how's Takrady?
Takrady is good. I hope you are doing well too.
We are terrific, but it's great. Thank you very much indeed. We're happy to have you. I don't know whether you monitored my intro. We are discussing the role of emerging technologies to support the transition support the green transition of the maritime sector. And you know, recently we had the World Maritime Day celebrations. That was just on Thursday, and we're looking at efforts at trying to quell the menace of greenhouse gas emissions in the shipping sector. I just want to find out from you, first of all, what you make of the celebrations that we've been having every year. That's the International Maritime Day celebrations.
Thank you for the question, Mona. I think the World Maritime Day celebration is very, very significant in making the effort to make the whole world know the importance of shipping for the development of our economies. Generally, I believe that shipping also brings the world together. And in as much as possible, also the World Maritime Day is making it sound the negative effects that the maritime activities is causing to our environment as well. And so it's how critical it is for us to act as a unified global community as well, to find solutions to these negative effects from the maritime industry to allow the shipping industry to continue serving its purpose for the development of countries and economies all over the world. Thank you.
Awesome. I just wanted to find out from you what you make of the theme too, but I think you just made mention of it. And so I would come to Nana Dr. Ofosu Boateng and find out from you, what do you make of this year's celebrations?
Yeah, thank you, Kennedy.
If you can draw your mic close to you a bit, that would do us a great love good, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Kennedy. This year's celebration talks about new technologies for greener shipping.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to go, because basically it's been more of lip service where people talk of pollution and our ecosystem, which is fragile, where we are in, being polluted. But of course, we can harness the need, and also we can harness technology to assist us in coming to our goals or realizing our needs with regards to the domain in which we are, which is the maritime domain. So I think the theme for this year is good. It draws the fact that we can use new ways to solve an old problem. And I think that's a laudable thing.
All right, so let me come to Captain Ofosun Kansa. Oforin Kansa.
Dankwa.
Ofori Dankwa. Ofori Dankwa, yes. Thank you very much indeed. You work for the Ghana Maritime Authority, yes. And the Ghana Maritime Authority is the national affiliate of the International Maritime Organization. So to speak, I would be right if I say it's the representative of the IMO,
yes, in
Ghana, and you spearheaded the celebrations for this year. What were some of the activities you undertook to mark this year's celebrations?
We thank you very much. The Director General was very good to us. I think he organized a lot of seminars to educate the shipping communities and the industry players, because they play a major role. Without them, the global supply chain will not be able to I would say, get to a complete stage. So, and this year, the team, for me, what he did was excellent because it opened up a forum for new technologies to be discussed. And that is what he really did. So he called some few people from the industry, that's the industry players, and ideas were shared. And I think that was what happened.
So at the end of the day, would you say you realized the objective for which this year's celebrations was locally, as in Ghana?
Yes, in Ghana, it was, to me, excellent because once the open conversation was done, I think that the goal was achieved. Yeah, because everybody is trying to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goal, which is supposed to, I would say, end around 2030. And I think everybody is playing his part to make sure that we achieve that goal.
Awesome. All right, so let me go online and speak to Lieutenant Commander Christopher Ama. If you can hear me, everybody's talking about sustainable future, sustainable... Is he on? Okay, yes. Everybody's talking about a sustainable shipping sector, that's, for the future. And I just want to find out from you how important it is for us to all rally around this particular theme and ensure that we have a sustainable future in terms of shipping.
It's important to have a sustainable maritime industry because when you look at the world population, we are increasing and we are hitting close to 8 billion people on the planet. And it calls for a lot of energy demand. And once countries are developing, it means that there will be transport of goods from one country to another. And the best and the cheapest way of transport is shipping, because you will be able to transport huge cargo from shipping. It is cheaper than other means of transport. Also, shipping's emission is better than other means of transport. So if we don't push ourselves to try as much as possible to make it sustainable and to protect our environment, it means that if we are going to increase transportation on our oceans, it means that our emissions are going to go beyond the 2.5 that we are all estimating. Thank you.
Now, can you bring us up to speed with some of the activities that kind of like affect the oceans? Hello, Lieutenant Commander.
Yes, thank you, Mona. Yes, thank you, Mona, once again. With activities that affect our oceans, we have the carriage of goods. That's what I mentioned earlier on, from one country to another. And some of these goods are chemicals. We have liquefied gases and other noxious liquid substances that are carried on our oceans. And we also have oil extraction that is going on. Is the same ships that carry the oil from the oil fields to the refineries for them to be refined. After refinery, these products are also transported from these countries to other countries that need these lubricants and all these oil products. Also, we have fishing that is going on. We have minerals extraction, and there are paints and then chemicals that are used on board and for maintenance of the ships. So you realize that all these chemicals and all these products that I am mentioning, if they are not properly handled, they are going to pollute the marine environment. Even just the movement of the ship on the water, we have issues with underwater noise, which affects the mammals. For example, the whales use sound to travel. So when you have ships that are traveling on our oceans with the propellers rotating underwater, it distracts their living conditions under the water. Also, a typical example of oil pollution is the Exxon Valdez, which happened in Mexico. That was one of the devastating oil spills, and after 30 years, we still have pockets of some of these crude oil remaining in some areas, which caused the death of hundreds of millions of animals in the oceans. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Please don't go. Stay with us. You are going to stick with us throughout the discussions. Let me come to Captain Samuel Ofori Dankwa and find out from you, per your role, you are a senior marine officer at the Ghana Maritime Authority, and per your role, I know that you mount vessels and ships and other platforms at sea to inspect them and ensure that they do the right things. What are some of the things that you discover when you at sea, when you go to inspect some of these vessels, and what do you look out for?
As an administrators, we are just into implement the international and the local policies. And the MAPO, the Maritime Pollution Convention, has spelled everything out. So we make sure that the vessels or the platforms that are around are really doing what they are expected to do. For instance, you talk about the oil, like Commander said, oil spillage now, there's a unit or let me say equipment on board called the oil water separator. And it has a monitoring gadget which makes sure that certain amount of oil does not go out of the ship into the water. So when we go there, we make sure it is working. And not only working, but the crew are able to operate and operate it correctly.
Right.
And you have sewage treatment plant, they are also able to work and everything is in order. You can talk about the garbage policy, which is from the MAPO. So we make sure all these things are being well implemented. Not to forget about the air pollution. That GMA is having equipment that we test the fuel to ensure that the sulfur content is at the right proportion.
The appropriate or acceptable sulfur content is 0.5?
Yes, there is no, we have emission control areas. So within the emission control areas, it is very less, 0.05%.
Okay.
But outside the emission control areas, that's where we have 0.10%. So we have this gadget analyzer that we check the fuel that is on board to make sure that they are within the right proportion. And aside that, we have exhaust gas analyzer. So if we suspect that you are bringing out certain kind of smoke which is not environmentally friendly, we make sure we go with our gadget to check. So we do all this. A lot of people think our aim is just to go and find a ship. No. A policeman on the road is not ready to go and just get people arrested. But once you are there, your presence alone will just give proper monitoring. So that is what we normally do when we go on a ship.
Okay. And what are some of your findings when you go up and you I mean, can you just mention the common ones that you find out?
Yes. The most common ones that we see is operation, that's training. They have the equipment, they have the everything, but most of them are unable to operate them.
Right.
So it's something I think we have already informed IMO and they are working on these new technologies. If the technologies are there and the training is not there, it's zero. We can't really go far. So those are the basic ones we find. And garbage, especially garbage, they throw a lot of garbage on our waters. So once we go, we try to calculate. If you have 20 people on a ship, how much garbage will you have been able to? We have better, I would say, good engineers and captains who do all those things and make sure that the violators are brought into book.
All right, thank you very much. And let me come to Dr. Captain Nana Boateng and find out from you, Ofosu Boateng, yes, and find out from you the cost that we'll have to bear globally in our quest to transition to green and to ensure that we reduce to the barest minimum, greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you.
How enormous is it? I just wanted to paint a mental picture of what the situation is at the moment.
Yes, to transition to greener methods of trying to solve these problems, it's very monumental. Actually, from a research that's been done, it's running into trillions of dollars. It's not only that we need land-based infrastructure, but you would need sea-based infrastructure also. I want to give a vivid example. Like, for instance, if you want to discharge oil waste, you need port facilities that would have the receptacles, or there should be a receiving area where the dirty sludge or the dirty oil could be sent over to. Same applies to garbage disposal and stuff like that. And all of these things call for money to do that. So you realize that putting all the aggregates together, it's quite monumental, and it's running into trillions of dollars if we want to transition into that.
You listened to the submissions of Lieutenant Commander Ama and then Captain Ofori Dankwa. And what do you make of their submissions in terms of what the findings are, some of the activities that impact negatively and contributes to greenhouse gas emissions?
Yes.
And if you have a fair idea of what Ghana's situation is like?
Yeah, I think they said it all. I mean, first and foremost, sometimes we tend to believe that these things don't exist, but they do exist. And just like Captain Samuel said, GMA is really doing well in making sure that there's always a check. or I would want to say they are always doing some policing work. For me, from where I stand, I think that going forward, the kind of sanctions that they give to vessels that flout the rules or are not abiding by whatever standards they have to engage in would have to be looked at. Because if the measures are punitive enough, that could scare them from doing what is wrong. Of course, again, I rightly agree with them. Sometimes the equipment could be on board, but the training to use them might not be there. Or sometimes there's a little bit of misunderstanding when it comes to mixed crew.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the vessels don't have one kind of crew on board. It could be a mixed crew. And sometimes communication gaps and problems like that do exist. And these have a ripple effect on how to operate some of these systems going forward.
Okay. All right, so I just want to come back to Lieutenant Commander Christopher Ama. You had a captain's submission that it will take trillions of dollars in our quest to go green, to transition to green. And I just want to find out from you, as African ports, we are a bit already, what we call it, under, at a disadvantage. I just want to find out from where we should start from as ports in Africa in our quest to transition to green. Whether you think that there should be some form of consolidation of efforts, across board.
Yeah,
hello?
Thank you, Mona. When you look at some statistics, you realize that majority of port calls and bunker sales, that is fueling of ships, takes place in developing countries. And developing countries as well, they are dominant in supplying seafarers and then ship registration. So I believe that what the African ports can learn is to look at, for example, the port of Antwerp, where they use circular economy. And circular economy is trying as much as possible to recycle the waste that is generated from the ports and from the ships. And they are used to generate energy or power as well to electrify the ports, so that we will try as much as possible to reduce our dependency of the ports on the national grid, which could also, that power as well can be used to serve other places within the country. So the other aspect also is to look at research into biofuels, which have hydrogen and it's available everywhere. Some statistics from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations indicates that there are 124 countries which produce sugar. So it means that if we want to go into biofuels, it is possible. And it is a good time for us to invest. And I believe that our return on investment will be very profitable if we should start something now. And for consolidation between the African countries, it is very, very important for us to look at what are our weaknesses and what are our strengths. It shouldn't be a competition to try as much as possible to make some revenue from this particular opportunity. But I think coming together in terms of looking at how we are going to do our training, how we are going to do our research, how we are going to look at into manufacturing and the production of all these fuels is going to help us together as an African continent.
Awesome. All right. Let me come to Dr. Captain Anafusu Boateng and find out from you. Do you have any other view apart from what Lieutenant Commander Ama has espoused?
Well, I think
African ports, our quest to transition to green. Where are we starting from?
Well,
given the capital-intensive nature of transitioning?
Yeah, I think from the capital-intensive nature of going green, I think the first thing we'd have to do as African ports is to kind of come together. We can't be a standalone or do it alone. Stakeholders should be engaged more thoroughly. And also there should be a point where the stakeholders could be brought to a point that they would be willing to at least put something in, to start from somewhere. Of course, not all the countries are very stable economically. So going forward, it's going to be a little slow. Some countries could do it quite quicker, but others might be falling behind. So looking at it, it should be a collective thing. It should be collective. We should all all the ports should come together. And then with the stakeholders also being drawn on board. Then we can find a common ground where we can look at it and solve it holistically. But it should not be some kind of individual thing where probably one person would want to, or one shipping company would want to take that as its main goal in trying to solve it.
Great. All right, let me come to Captain Samuel Ofori Dankwa and find out from the Ghana Maritime Authority. Can you bring us up to speed with some of the initiatives you have undertaken or you are undertaking to help our quest to transition?
Thank you very much. But before I come there, let me chip in something small about the cost aspect of it.
Okay.
For me, we can mention money or any value, but my side, I think the effort and the consciousness of people doing what they are supposed to do means a lot in terms of cost. Because if everybody is supposed to do what is supposed to do, I don't think we are supposed to spend a lot of or huge amount of money to curtail that. Now let me come back to this.
When you say if everybody does what he or she is supposed to do, what do you mean by that?
For instance, you get to most of the ports, and instead of inspecting, they are taking money.
Yeah.
You get to other places where seafarers are supposed to do what by not throwing any garbage overboard. They look, and African terrain, there are no cameras, there are nothing. You go to China, Singapore, they have these gadgets that are monitoring 24/7. So even nighttime, when you throw even a small amount of something in the sea, they're able to get you pictures once you arrive at the port. But these seafarers are aware that we are handicapped in this area, so they do it within our waters. Just like Lieutenant Commander said, why are they doing a lot of bunkering on our waters within the African terrain? Because nobody is checking them. It is good that Ghana Maritime Authority has acquired a lot of crafts. Currently, Tema is having about 6, Takrade is having 4, and along the coast, we try to go in every blessed day, morning and afternoon and evening, trying to monitor any illegal activity that is going on. So if we are not having that mindset of change, some people will be leading, others will not be leading.
Absolutely.
So that is where my stand comes in.
Perfect. I agree. Yes, you were going to continue with your submission.
On the second note, Ghana Maritime Authority, like I said, we are having state-of-the-art craft called Yasantua. Yasantua is having a camera that is infrared, so we can even zoom into your ship and at very night time and know exactly whatever you are doing. And it can even penetrate at certain materials like metals. It can get into so that we are able to know what exactly you are doing, and we keep the recordings. We have all camera all around, so we don't have to even confront you. With the evidence is the game. So once we have the evidence, then we can bring you to book. Aside the craft, we have the analyzers, which is very expensive. Currently, we are not having enough. We are having only 2. And if we have almost about 20 ships calling our port almost every 2 weeks or every week, you can imagine if I am using it, my colleague will not be able to get to use it. So some of these things come into play. But GMA, I would say as an administrator, they are doing very well compared to other ports. I have been to so many ports, Cote d'Ivoire and the rest, and African ports, I would say GMA is really on top. Considering the MPS aspect of it, as we can all see, MPS has come to a stand whereby the port alone is really reducing that, I would say, emission. The state of it, the kind of infrastructure that is there. So if you go back into the Sustainable Development Goal 9, which is talking about the infrastructure, innovative, Ghana is trying to cut all those things. And if you come back to the 14, which is the life under sea, Ghana is also doing everything possible to make sure that we patrol our waters and we inspect properly. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. Let me come to Captain. Dr. Captain, Nana Ofosu Boateng, and find out from him. He made mention of some of the illegalities and some of the challenges that we face in our quest to ensure that the right thing is done. He says we can put the monetary value on our quest to transition. No matter the amount, if the attitude is not right, we can't get there. And he mentioned the fact that some regulators would go onto the vessels and take money. They won't, kind of like do the right thing. They won't take... Like, okay, I find something wrong with you. I'm supposed to sanction you, to note it down and sanction you. I don't. I take peanuts, I get off, and you're left off the hook. And he says sometimes we have people who look around because there's no camera watching them. There's nobody at sea to monitor them. They litter and then they go. And so if we do everything we can, we have all the money, we splash it, and we go, in our quest to go green, and we still have some of these things happening, we can't get anywhere. What should we be doing in terms of our attitude?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that basically we should also be looking at the maritime education and training aspect, because it's all about a mindset. If the person's mindset is positive and it's okay, why would somebody put garbage which is not treated into the oceans? Or why would somebody pour oily waste into the water? Where I stand, at the moment, if you are a rating and before you should ever join a vessel, you need to do a pre-sea vocational training where you are taken through the rudiments of seamanship and some of these things with regards to pollution and everything. So at least the conscience is, the awareness is there before you go on board. It's not as if from the very, very old days where anybody could just obtain a discharge book and go on board and call himself a seafarer. It's not like that anymore. So the awareness slowly is coming through maritime education and training, where the seafarer, right from the rating, with the officers, of course, there's no way you can be an officer without learning MAPO or knowing anything about oil pollution. But sometimes with the ratings, some might not be too aware of some of these adverse effects of polluting the environment. But slowly we are into this kind of maritime education and training thing. So before the person goes on board, he's way aware. So I think the message should also go across. And all in all, it should be about a mindset. If the mindset is good, then the person would want to do the right thing, even if he's not under the surveillance of a camera or something. He would do the right thing because it's been inculcated in him. So he's going to do the right thing. But again, maybe we would have to spend a little bit more time on educating our seafarers and people who are related to the maritime domain.
Right.
And I think if more education goes out and people are more conscious of it, things like this will not be happening.
Absolutely. All right, so let me go back to the lines and find out from Lieutenant Commander Christopher Ama what you think is the greatest pollutant. Most of the time, the ordinary man out there, he thinks that, okay, he has had oil spillage, and so yes, that is it. Is that the only thing we should be looking out for, or what are some of the, what is the greatest pollutant of our, from shipping?
Thank you very much, Mona. For pollution from shipping, ships causes a lot of air pollution.
Right.
Ships in the harbor, you see something either white or black coming out from the exhaust funnels or something. So that is the exit of these pollutants that later goes on to affect the marine environment. And so these pollutants also have adverse effects on human health and contributes to the wide-reaching effects of climate.
Hello,
a lot of fuel.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, please.
I think we had some,
Yes, commercial ships burn a lot of fuel for energy, and they emit several types of air pollution as byproducts. So, like the ship source pollutants are most closely.
Yes. I think we're having challenges with Lieutenant Commander's line. That's what technology can do. Okay, I understand he's back. Are you back, Commander? Okay. Okay, Lieutenant Commander, yeah.
I can hear you.
Please continue, yes.
Yes. So some of the pollutants we have are carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, we have sulfur oxides, and then we have particulate matter. But I will go in for the carbon dioxide because it contributes to a widespread, that is the climate change, because it traps.
Wow. I think we're having... Okay, yes. Yes, please go ahead. Okay, I think we're having challenges with his line. That's what technology does sometimes. But Lieutenant, Dr. Captain, okay, let's try one more time and see whether it will be stable this time. Lieutenant Commander Ama.
Hello, Mona, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please shoot. Whoa.
I'll go in for carbon dioxide because carbon dioxide traps the heat of the sun, and that is where we have.
Wow. No, I think it's not helping. It's lying. It's not helping. We are having challenges. Okay. Yes. You want to? Yes. All right. The
Maybe
greatest pollutant.
Yeah. What he is trying to talk about the CO2 emission.
Yes.
Which normally traps the heat of the sun and it causes a lot of environmental damage. As currently we are experiencing irregular sea path, that's rain pattern and other things. And the climate change has become one of the most, I would say, significant talk about issue, because if we lose this our planet, we don't know where we have to go next. And not to forget about the marine pollutant, we've talked about it, but the biodiversity, we need to preserve that. And in preserving our biodiversity, we have to make sure that nothing goes into the sea to go and damage the life below the sea. So for him, like I said, as he was talking about, the main concern is about the air pollution, which damages a lot of the ozone, and that is what is causing most of the glaciers in the icy areas to melt. And once they melt, the sea surface will rise. And once the sea surface rises beyond certain limits, islands will sink. And some of the places will go down. If you pass through our local area in Ghana here, Sakomono Beach and the rest, before you could see most of the structures were way forward, but now they've been covered, not to think about the island somewhere. So if we are not regulating and getting everybody involved, making people understand that this is the only thing we have, all must come in, then we are going to just cause the damage very soon. And that is why I think the Sustainable Development Goal is trying to also curtail. I think the 13 is also talking about that.
Right.
So we will try to see how best we can work on that.
All right. I understand Lieutenant Commander Ama is back on the line. This time his line is good. Let's try him again. Yes, Lieutenant Commander.
Yes, Mona.
Yes, I understand your line is smooth this time around. Let's try.
Please, is it better?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. Thank you for...
So you were at carbon dioxide?
Yes.
When the line went cranky, I think it's gone cranky again. Okay. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, so please flow.
Okay, to add to what Captain is saying, this carbon dioxide also ends up at the seabed, and it eats off what we call the coral reefs. Yeah. And coral reefs contribute very much in the food chain for marine life. So when that particular element under the oceans, which is the coral reefs, are...
I think Lieutenant Commander's line is being problematic. So let's come to you. You mentioned coral reefs. Can you tell us what he was trying to espouse?
Yeah, what he is trying to say is that the marine, I would say, the marine life depend on one another. So they are a kind of growths that are below the water. So they depend on that. And once this carbon dioxide goes up and it causes, it just falls back into the sea, because it will move into the clouds, and again the rain will cause it back there, and it will eat it up, causing it dry. So it's just like you having the dry season in Ghana here, whereby all the green grass and all the leaves are dry. It means no bird or nobody will be able to make use of it.
Yeah.
So this CO2 effect will generally go down, and once they eat up all the living things that are down there, it means the human lives are also going to be affected.
Right.
Let's imagine we're staying for about a year without any sea food. I don't know how many people are going to feel. You go to Asia, that is all that they depend on.
Yeah.
Seafood is everything that they depend on. They are not after any of the goat and the martin and those things. So if we are not preserving the marine environment, at the end, everybody is going to be have the effect. So I think doctor has, in that category, I would say doctor has a lot to share.
Okay. All right, Doc, you share with us, but we'll go for a break now. And I just wish to remind listeners that you are tuning to Metro TV and the program is Eye on Port. And tonight we are discussing the role of emerging technologies to support the transition, green transition of the shipping or maritime sector in our part of the world and globally. And this comes on the back of the recently celebrated International Maritime Day, which was on Thursday, the 29th of September, 2022. I was told we're going to go for a break, but I've been told that we can move on. And so let me come to Captain in the studios and then find out from you. Captain says you have, you're well versed with some information on this particular area.
With regards to air pollution, for me, it's actually they really have talked a lot about the effects of the carbon dioxide or the greenhouse gas effect. But we do also have other pollutants, which is sulfur dioxide and nitrous oxide also. That is the SOx and NOx. And these also cause a lot of harm to the environment. And sometimes rainfall patterns are altered, and sometimes also the quality of rain that comes in, like acid rain, which is very toxic to vegetation and stuff. With regards to the coral reef, sometimes some of the fishes would like to spawn within, those places. And if the ambience is not right, it kind of destroys the ecosystem and the IX, so they're not able to. And for me, I'm not very surprised that these days we don't really have our normal catches that we have, because everything is changed. You normally would notice that around August and when the weather gets cold, we used to have lots of herrings, but it's not happening anymore.
Right.
Sometimes some of these things do happen, and it doesn't really bring out a very good atmosphere for them to thrive in. And then again, with the SOx or the sulfur dioxide that goes into the atmosphere, most of it is in form of particulates or particles. And as it mixes with other compounds in the atmosphere, it becomes more and more toxic for use in the atmosphere. But I think that, like we are talking about technology is being harnessed to stop some of these things. But when we get there, I want to go a little bit deeper into the technological part in arresting some of these things.
Okay. All right. So let me come to Captain Samuel Ofori Dankwa and find out from you what the Ghana Maritime is doing, Maritime Authority is doing to curtail some of these things that we find in our seas.
For us, like I said, policy implementation is one, and monitoring. In terms of policy implementation, we have the policies already that are from IMO, as we are a wing of it, and IMO is also a wing of UN. So we make sure that the policies that are there are well implemented. Currently, Ghana is lucky to be among one of the best in the West and Central Africa to join the new technology that is coming into phase, that is the autonomous shipping, whereby ships will be run without any crew. And Ghana is part of it, so we have some of the GMA members being part of that section from the Maritime Safety Committee that are trying to add up knowledge to that. And if you talk about the monitoring, like I said earlier on in my submission, we have about 6 craft patrol boats that normally goes into the sea. We don't go alone, we go with Marine Police, then we go with Ghana Navy. So that if there's any illegality, they will be added up to do the arrest for us. So there are a lot of things going on out there. And one thing I'm so happy when I joined GMA is that they have a whole unit called the Monitoring and Enforcement Unit. They go around the port every blessed day in a dispersed manner to check every activities at the port. So once they find anything that will cause the environment to be damaged, the marine environment to be damaged, they will immediately inform the inspectors. Then we will go there with our knowledge and we will try to see the depth of the illegality. So we, like I said, Takrady is doing the same. And if you go to Adan, we have one of the offices also there. GMA trying to go in a technological advancement. We have what you call the VTMIS.
Exactly. I wanted to find out what the status is at the moment.
Yes, it's working correctly.
Okay.
So they normally view the whole ocean for us with cameras, and if they suspect anything, they'll call the craft that is at the port, and they will then zoom in to go and see physically what the issues are about. So I think in the whole, GMA is doing very well with trying to get to the state-of-the-art equipment to monitor our ocean.
When you mention state-of-the-art equipment, does that include drones?
Yes, yes. And I've heard that. I don't know the depth of it, but so I can't give a lot of information about. Ghana will receive it very soon so that we will be able to go deep sea and monitor any activities out there.
Very well. All right. So I'm told we can now go for a break. When we bounce back, we'll continue the show. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, streetlights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
Mps Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. Remember, we're discussing the role of emerging technologies to support the green transition of the maritime sector. And with me in the studios, Dr. Captain Nana Ofosu-Boateng, who is a senior lecturer and head of Nautical Studies Department at the Regional Maritime University. And also have in the studios Captain Samuel Ofori Dankwa, who is a senior marine officer at the Ghana Maritime Authority. On the line is Lieutenant Commander Christopher Ama, who is with the Ghana Navy. He's back there. We hope that this time the line would be much more helpful. He is a marine engineer by profession, but he works for the Ghana Navy. Indeed, he's been with them for the past 10 years. I've been told you can activate our phone lines as well, and so you can also call in and contribute to the discussion. You can ask guests whatever questions that are bothering your mind. We have some of your messages here. We'll be coming to them pretty shortly. But I want to go to Dr. Captain Nana Ofosu Boateng and find out from you. I mentioned in my intro that research indicates that global shipping, commercial shipping, constitutes or contributes to 2.5% of global, greenhouse gas emissions. And this is expected to escalate to between 50 and 250% by the year 2050, which means that there's the need for us to do something real quick to stem the tide. What should we be doing in terms of enhancements of technology to support, going green?
Yes, thank you very much, Kennedy. There are a lot of things we can do, actually. Maybe I'll just touch on some of them, but not all, because it's quite vast. We don't need to reinvent anything. Just like we have in industry where sometimes we have a byproduct.
Doc, before you continue, let me announce the phone lines so that they can call in. The line is 020-552-8353. 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes.
Yes, just like in industry where we have a byproduct and we are able to harness it and recycle it and reuse it again for our benefit. So we could do the same thing when it comes to the shipping industry. On the ship, for instance, the ship is always in the water, and the hull, if it begins to grow and have marine life on it, it reduces the speed of the vessel because it forms a form of drag. And that alone allows the ship to burn more fuel.
Right.
And that in itself would also, in a more ripple effect, contribute to more pollution. We can also, in trying to curtail the amount of sulfur dioxide that we have and the nitrous oxide that we have, we could introduce technologies like sulfur scrubbers, where it is put in the exhaust to eliminate more than about 90% of the sulfur content that is churned out into the atmosphere.
Right.
We could also harness the heat that is coming from the exhaust system, such that there is recirculation, and that energy which is coming from the heat could also be used by the vessel.
Right.
We could also harness the propellers, right, by making sure that the blades are oriented properly and that they are more energy efficient when it cuts through the water. We could also look at the ballast system. In other waters where people introduce alien species into the water, and that causes a lot of problems for the ecosystem.
That causes a lot of problems for the ecosystem. Hold it there, and don't forget your lines. When we come back, you continue. But we'll have to welcome Iben from Tamale onto the show. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please shoot.
Yes. Sir, I think I'll go with Doctor. The only way we can do away with this mess is to educate ourselves as Africans, as Ghanaians, to know the negative impact of all these things. Because if we don't educate ourselves to appreciate the negative effects of all these things, there is no way we are going to curtail this problem. And so I think the very investment should do in education so that our people will get to know these things and then the effect that comes along with it. Thank you for the nice program.
Great. Thank you very much indeed, Iben, for your call. He called all the way from Tamale. Regards to the people of Tamale. You can also call, and the number to dial is 020-552-8353. Yes, Doc, please continue.
Yeah, where did I leave off from? I was talking about something.
Yes. Can you remind Doc where he was?
He was on the scrubber.
Yes.
Scrubber system.
Yeah. So it's a device that is placed in the probably the manifold of the exhaust system.
Okay.
So it kind of acts as a sieve to take out more of the particulates or the sulfur contents that is in there. So the air that comes out is more purified, and it goes into. And then I think I remember now I was talking about the ballast system,
right,
where you have alien species being transported into the new environment that this vessel finds itself
Right.
in. But this time around, the new technologies are coming in where you are having ballast-less vessels where there's no ballast, but actually there are special tanks that are within there that's all of the ballast and such that there's a continuous flow of water going in, so you don't need to actually keep water from a localized place by filling your tanks in one port and discharging it in another one. So it's more like that place is empty and there's a continuous stream of water passing through in there. And then also other technologies we could be looking at sails. There's been some experiments using sails, which used to be the very old system that we're using, but adding a bit of technology to it such that the direction of the wind could be computer controlled, such that you could orient the sails in a way to catch more wind and the maximum effect of the wind to use. We could also be looking at electricity, electrical engines, where they are quieter and cleaner. We could also be looking at LNG, which could also produce very little carbon footprint. So these are some of the things that are going on.
Okay, awesome. Let me come to Captain Samuel Ofori-Dankwa and find out from you whether you can bring us up to speed with the new fuels that are being developed to support the green transition.
Yes, thank you. Now, most of the companies that I know...
We're moving from fossil.
Yes,
to,
most of them are now going on methanol. And I can talk about a classical situation whereby Mexline has started for the past 5 years, since 2015. And they have about 15 ships that are running on that, and it's safe and environmentally safe. So they normally call it triple E.
Right.
The triple E, it means they are trying to, I would say, work on the environment. They are trying to work on the economy of scale, and at the same time, also, they are working on the fuel efficiency. So with that triple E, at one ship that they have, before I think the largest ship was 18,000 TEU.
Right.
And now they have 24,000 TEU, which is evergreen. Mexline was having the 18,000. What they did was they increased the width of the ship, and then they just moved the accommodation a bit behind so that it can get closer and more cargo space. So they were able to increase the cargo by 15%. And doing so, when they compared the cargo carriage capacity together with the fuel that was supposed to burn, they were able to achieve almost about 50% of fuel reduction in the same carriage capacity.
Right.
And now the current one, which is Ever Alert, is having the same length, but the breadth has just been increased.
Right.
And in so doing, 6,000 pieces of containers is quite huge. And they are reducing the fuel by that amount. So for me, it's one of the greatest way by which we can go.
Awesome. Let's go on to the phone lines and welcome Engineer George, who's calling us all the way from Takwa. Engineer, good evening, sir.
Yeah, as far as the vessel is moving, it is firing, it is burning. And we have fuel and some other substances that contribute to this firing order in the system. It's a fact that we cannot eliminate the waste because that is the product of the burning. But we have to make sure that the system we are managing is sustainable. Sustainability has to do with a balancing act where our activities we are taking presently could be curtailed in such a way that the ripple effect it will have in the near future could be minimized.
Right.
We should, in the long term, look at the kind of fuel we use in a vessel. If there can be certain substances per manufacturing which can minimize, though if they should release into the atmosphere, it can minimize the harm it can cause on even the aquatic bodies. Because if care is not taken, our operations can cause so harm to extent that some years to come, it might be devastating, and the generation to come cannot survive based on our operation. So we have to employ more technology, moving into a specific thinking cap. We can assist the whole ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Engineer George, for that wonderful and lucid submission. He called us all the way from Takwa. We are grateful to you. I understand. I'll come back to the studio, but let me go on to to Zoom and then conclude with Lieutenant Commander Christopher Ama, who is still with us. I hope this time the lines are okay. Let me just find out from you, Commander. I put a question to Captain Samuel Ofori-Dankwa as to some of the new fuels that are being developed to support the green transition. I shudder to say you have some information to share with respect to that.
Thank you very much, Mona. With respect to fuels, among the proposed alternative fuels for shipping, we have a liquefied natural gas, as he mentioned. We have the liquefied petroleum gas, methanol, biofuels, and then hydrogen. They are the...
Well, I think we're still having this. Yes. We're still having the same issue.
LNG. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I think the line is bad. Would just say a big thank you to Lieutenant Commander. The lines have not been helpful at all. These are some of the things you suffer when you depend on technology so much. Okay, my production team says we can try for the last time. Please go ahead. Let's see. Commander. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so when it comes to carbon dioxide with respect to LNG, is the fossil fuel which produces the least amount of carbon dioxide. However, the challenge with LNG is that it has methane slip challenges, which helps to reduce its benefit when you compare it to heavy fuel oil and then the marine gas oils. So methane slip has about 25 to 30 years times in terms.
Well, I think that we just, because we have barely 4 or 3 minutes to even wrap up. So let me come to Dr. Captain Nana Ofosu-Boateng and find out from you whether you think that we can attain green zero emissions, by the year in 20 years' time. Zero emissions in 20 years. Is that possible?
To be fair to everybody, I think it will be a very tall order. I mean, I don't want to sound like a prophet of doom, but that would be a very difficult thing. Because even looking at the quantum of money that would have to inject in with regards to infrastructure, both on land and that at sea also, it will be a very tall order to meet that goal.
Right. It will be a tall order. Captain Samuel Ofori-Dankwa, do you agree in 20 years' time, can we enjoy zero emissions?
I also say others can, but maybe with Africa, it will take us a little more years. Okay. Like we said, training is a key thing, all-inclusiveness, the conscience of people trying to accept that aspect of new technology is a key thing. For me, the shipping aspect, most of the ship owners and the shipbuilders have done so well because those days we were depending on weather forecast and our own judgment to get the best possible routes.
Right.
But these days, they are using technology, advanced technology to get the shortest possible route that is safe.
Right.
Getting the shortest route doesn't mean it is fuel economized, but it means the other element of current, ocean waves, and all those things have been catered for.
Right.
If you talk about the design of the ship itself, it has been catered for. But our region here, how are we prepared?
Right.
Not to think of even the shipping the fishing industry,
right,
where most of the fishing boat they are using is a big challenge.
Right.
For you to tell them to change fuel.
Okay.
So we will take time. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Captain. This one says, good evening, sir. Please, how do I locate the head office of the Ghana Maritime Authority? This one's from Samuel Kabu in Accra. Okay, my production team will furnish you with that information. This one says, good evening. The three gentlemen on the show are brilliant. The future of our waters is safe. And this answer, okay, there's another one from this particular texter who says, on the Golden Jubilee Terminal, well, forward it to the appropriate authorities for redress. This is how we draw the curtain on tonight's edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Remember, we've been discussing the role of emerging technologies to support a green transition of the maritime sector, coming on the back of International Maritime Day, which was on the 29th of September 2022. That was last Thursday. I say a big thank you to Dr. Captain Nana Ofosu-Boateng, who is a senior lecturer and head of Nautical Studies Department, Regional Maritime University. I also say a big thanks to Captain Samuel Ofori-Dankwa, senior marine officer at the Ghana Maritime Authority, and indeed Lieutenant Commander Christopher Ama, marine engineer, is with the Ghana Navy, for joining us all the way from Takoradi. We entreat you to watch the abridged version of Iron Port on Wednesday at on GTV at 8:30 p.m. Indeed, we shall also entreat you to keep watching the rest of our programs for tonight. And we say a big thank you to our sponsors, Ghana Maritime Authority, that's Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and indeed Meridian Port Services, MPS. The show is powered, as usual, by the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, GPHA. My name is Kennedy Mona. God willing, we shall come your way again with another wonderful edition of the show next week, Sunday. Have a super weekend and keep enjoying the rest of our programs. Good evening.